This is the Starlight Express Alumni Podcast.
Hi everyone, it's Reva Rice. I'm a Starlight alumni. My 1986 was when I signed the first contract, I think, and then Rehearsals.
I love it. I was
three.
You were three. I hear you. I remember seeing you in the show. I did go. When I got hired to do the show, I had to see the show, and they let me go see the Broadway show, and it was incredible. You were so beautiful. I remember seeing you come on stage, and it was crazy. It's the most amazing thing that I saw. So thank you so much, Reva, for taking the time to come on the podcast and just share your experience with Starlight Express. I really do appreciate it.
Well, I'm honored to be a part of this history. It's theatrical for me and spiritual for me. My first years ever in theater were roller skating, and listening to Arlene Phillips and listening to Trevor Nunn, who was the director at the time for Broadway.
Wow.
And I tell people now, it's my foundation for theater. It's what really, after I did Starlight for so long, there wasn't a show that I think I couldn't have done.
Wow.
And I wasn't even a singer. I was a roller skater who could dance,
Really?
Hey, but I love to roller skate. Like, my roller skating is like fanatical, like it's my therapy. It's like, that's what I do regardless of what's going on in the world.
Wow.
I go roller skating. And when Starlight came to Broadway from London, that was in the heyday of roller disco,
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us that were hired on Broadway, we all used roller skates for transportation as well. So we were those hardcore street skaters.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of the people had already done many shows. They were already living there in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I had been there for like 6 months. And then I got Starlight. I was doing some other shows and
Wow. How did you find
other auditions? I'm sorry.
Auditions. Well, how did you find out about Starlight in the audition? How did you find out about that?
Well, I was had a subscription to Backstage.
Backstage, yes.
Yeah. And it had an audition for London, and I sent my resume over there, but I never heard anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I heard it was coming to America, I had already been up to New York, and I was living with my uncle and going back and forth from home because I had a dance school at home that I was closing down at the time, and I had been engaged to be married, and I shut that down too. I pushed it off, postponed it. And when I heard about this audition, I said, well, I've got to, and the first one that was in Backstage was Equity. It's a union call.
Yes.
And I said, well, I've got to be one of the first to be seen. And so I called up a good friend of mine who was an Equity member. And I said to her, and she's actually a very well-known actress in the industry. So I won't say her name now, maybe later on. Anyway, she was nice enough to let me borrow her Equity card. And in those days, you walk onto I think it was the third floor, which was the Equity floor, and you just flash your card and you go into the audition. And that's what I did. And I went into the audition with Vinnie Liff and Tara Rubin. Yeah. And they were sitting at the table, and I came in with my skates over my shoulder. Well, before that, I wasn't a singer. So I just got some music down at Colony Records, went down there and got the sheet music to Object of My Desire by Atlantic Starr. Object of my desire, baby, ignite my fire. I couldn't sing that well then, though.
That's fabulous.
Didn't sound that good then. Anyway, didn't know anything about, and I played the piano and things like that. I had some musicality. Had been playing piano for years, but I didn't really know what the key of the song was. It didn't really matter. And took that song in there, and I sang for Vinny and I sang for Tara. And Vinny looked at me and he says, well, we just had auditions for Dream Girls had just done the revival, and Black and Blue, I think, was on. Basically, the couple of shows that had people of color in them. And I've not seen you. I haven't ever seen you audition for us before. Are you union? And I was like, oh, because at the top of my resume, it didn't say anything about union. It just said Reva Rice, And I didn't really have a resume, had just graduated from Boston Conservatory a year before that, and had opened up a dance school right away. So I really didn't have a lot of performance. And I worked at Disney World. I was a world dancer for a year right before I came up to New York. So I really didn't have a resume, And he says, so how'd you get in here? And so I just walked up to the table. I said, Vinny, and I was, scared to death. I said, Vinny, I've got to do this show. He says, if you think I can sing, I roller skate 20 times better. I'm going to show you. And I went back to get the skates, and they go, no, don't put the skates on. There's insurance issues. Don't put your skates on yet, but we'll be calling you back. He says, and I told him a good friend, I had to, borrow a card from a good friend. He goes, well, sometimes you have to find the loopholes and just jump right through them. He says, we'll be calling you back. So I came back to the next audition and still wasn't skating yet. I can't remember who was in the second call. I just remember the third call, because that was the first time they were going to have us skate. Mm-hmm. And that's when I think the first time I met Arlene. Dion, who was the assistant director, was there.
Dion McHugh.
I'm trying to think who. Oh, and of course, Vinny left. God rest his soul. Vinny left, passed away. He was there. I can't remember who else was at the table. But I've been taking other auditions during, this time that I've been auditioning for them and before. And I had gotten a offer to do Can with Chita Rivera. Mm. And it was a chorus contract. It was non-union, but, it was with Chita Rivera. So I'm sitting there, and I've already done now. They've taught us the skate combination. I came on, did the combination, rolled on off. Now, no one else was doing that. Everybody else was kind of rolling, trying to stop with the skates on. And then if they could get through the choreography, they were like, oh, all right. So after after they called my number, I would roll behind the little table back there. I says, Vinny, I got this offer to do Can with Chita Rivera. Do you know if Starlight is considering me at all? And he says, well, Reva, look. And he pointed to the, people that, just didn't skate well. And as he said that, Arlene was leaning against the table, and he goes, oh, Reva, no, don't sign a thing. I have to always do her. I always have to do her impression. Don't sign a thing. You could be Pearl, you could be Ashley, you could be Buffy. Oh my gosh. Go away. Arlene was very direct.
Yes.
And I love Arlene, because I wouldn't be the singer I am today if it wasn't for Arlene Phillips. Mm. And me too, but I'm saying she never bit her tongue about things. And even though she was very hard on us, that's why I was able to go and do everything I've done and been able to, eat and buy real estate.
Yeah. Hello.
So the third audition, I got another call back, and this is when they were giving out parts at this point, and they gave me Only You to sing from Starlight. And at that point, it hasn't dawned on me what the characters are and all that, because I'm not really. My mother had us in theater when we were little, but I don't know anything really about professional theater, so I'm not really analyzing anything. I'm not really checking out. I'm just happy to be there. So I came back on the fourth call, and Dion was there, same group, and I sang Only You. And I put everything in it I knew that I could put in there. Only you have the power to move me. Once again, it wasn't even that good back then. So anyway, I got finished, and Dion goes, that was amazing. He goes, but take out all the Sarah Vaughan when you come back to the final callback next week. Thank you very much. So I said, okay. So I left out. So the fifth callback now. And so we roll in, and it was myself and forgive me if I forget anyone, but it wasn't that many of us, but I think I have everybody. Myself, Lola Knox, Andrew McCardle, Jane Krakowski, Don, memory, come on, Chandler, Jamie Chandler. Okay, the rest of y'all call in, because I think it was 2 more. Myself, that makes 7. It was 8 of us, I remember. Anyway, we all roll in. Now at this point, now there's 20 people at the table. Oh, there's Lord Grade. He was one of the investors, and Andrew is there now, the Lord Andrew now.
Yes.
Everybody's, it's like 20 people, where before there was 2 or 3, you know, maybe 4. We roll in. I'm like, oh my goodness, Lord have mercy. Okay, all right. And so Arlene, so Trevor Nunn, would you like to see the choreography? So Trevor goes, no. Can we just put some music on and let me see them just roll around? Well, I just, rolled around. Yeah, spin and da-da-da-da. And, you know, so there was applause. And then we all rolled back out. So then we're all called in to sing whatever we were given to sing, which I was singing Only You again. And so I sang Only You. When I finished, I just remember Trevor Nunn jumping up and running around the table and hugging me, saying, where have you been? Where have you been? And about a week later, I don't remember what happened after that. About a week later, or maybe 10 days later, I get a phone call from Vinny Liff. And he says, hello, Reva, this is Vincent Liff, and we'd like to congratulate you. You've been offered the role of Pearl in the Broadway production of Starlight Express. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, who is Pearl? Let me go down here and get the cassettes. So I went down to Colony Records again, and I got the cassettes, and I was like, Pearl, she's got a solo. I wouldn't even see it. I wouldn't see it. She kind of got. Well, she's in a lot of scenes. Okay, well, see, I didn't know. I'm like, well, Pearl is one of the major characters. I'm like, what? So then I go to the payphone and I call up my mother, who was alive at that time. She was going through her last few years of cancer. And I said, Ma, I just got the lead in a Broadway musical. She goes, oh my God. She says, that's wonderful. You don't sing, do you, baby? Well, yeah, I do now.
Wow.
I do now, you know. So opening night, you know, I had, you know, lots of relatives came up for the opening night. And just so everybody knows, make a long story short, my mother's name is Pearl and my grandmother's name is Pearl as well. And I always tell everyone that, you know, sometimes your energy's in the universe, you never know what it's doing. And I really believe that this show was brought to me because I kept asking for it. I used to skate around the Christian Science building at Boston Conservatory as a dancer. And just in the summer times or, you know, whenever I was stressed, I'd throw my skates on, put my Walkman on, my canary yellow Walkman and skate around the Christian Science building 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And they would have security around there all the time. And I would sit there and entertain them. And I would think, oh, if there was a Broadway show, I could sing, dance, and roller skate. And literally a year after I graduated, I was basically, you know, one of the leads starring in an Andrew Lloyd Webber musical.
Wow.
And
that's
I tell y'all even now, if it's something positive, you know, do it. I spent so much money on skating in college because I couldn't afford, you know, anything. I had to, all through my days at Boston Conservatory, I was working a job. I was either a cocktail waitress or I worked for the YMCA for 1 year. And then after, I think the 3rd year, I got a full scholarship for the last 2 years. But I had major debt when I came out of college. But, you know, you just have to kind of believe in yourself and get out there and apply. Yeah. And keep applying. It'll come through. It'll come through. You just have to work really hard. And there's nothing wrong with working hard when you're doing things that you love, you know.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's, gosh, I learned so much hearing from the alumni, and those of us that have been there. You were in the beginning, so that was awesome to hear the story. I love it, and you shared the audition. What was the rehearsal process like for you? I mean, you got the show, and now the rehearsal. Now, how long were you in rehearsals for this?
Well, the rehearsal process went on for a long time. I remember when they called 10 out of 12s where they could rehearse you legally through the union, 10 hours out of the 12.
Right.
I think we were in 10 out of 12s for like 8 or 12 weeks or something crazy like that, where a lot of shows are in 10 out of 12s, 3 to 4 weeks, maybe less.
Wow.
But this was the first time that they had, in American theater, I think, the set itself was a major
monster
challenge, I'll say. Yeah, they had built that set in London, but they had to make the application in America in a pre-existing theater. And I don't know if people know, they had to I don't know, basically put a hole in the roof of the Gershwin Theater to put the Kong Bridge in.
Mm-hmm.
They had to do this whole renovation. And I could skate. I'd been skating since really, grade school and carrying on, I really didn't learn most of my skills until I started going to Boston Conservatory, where I was skating and, studying dance.
Right.
So the skating part of it for me was fine when we were in rehearsals, other than we started doing the bowl work where you have to skate on the walls and all that kind of craziness.
Yeah.
And then I was even intimidated. But we had major padding. We had the wonderful Michael Fraley giving us skating techniques, which I had no skating technique. I was just that street skater. And a lot of us had the balls of the street skaters, where we would, Todd Lester and folks like that.
Yeah.
And some of the same tricks that we were able to, pull out are still being utilized in today, which is still running, over here in Germany, which we'll get to later. But, Todd Lester's straddle trick that he does, where he goes down really slow and the straddles come back up, which was originated by the wonderful Barry Bernal, who was the original caboose on Broadway. And then Todd Lester, once again, perfected it as well. And my little attitude turn, they're still they do it over here sometimes, but, it's good to see those old things coming into play. So some of the process of the endurance of being able to sing, skate, and act, and also do stunt work, basically, because you're skating on surfaces that are not flat.
Right.
Usually ever, other than the main bowl.
Right.
So it was quite a athletic show, on the lines of like the Cirque du Soleil folks and that kind of thing. It was and a lot of us didn't know how to maintain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to do the same thing 8 times a week. And it was a time when, that's when the AIDS epidemic was going through the world.
Right.
And that had a major effect on the show and the community. And first time I had been working with people that I would lose in 2 weeks. You know. So it was strenuous. It was challenging, and it was character building.
Yeah.
And
wow.
And worth every blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah. And brokenness.
Yeah. Yeah. It's.
Now, did you have any? I know when I did like a total of 6 years. About 7 years of Starlight, and I know I broke my arm, busted elbows a bit. Did you get any injuries? I mean, are you just a phenomenal skater and very athletic but again, that was our perception when we saw what you did. I mean, like everyone who did Pearl wanted to get that attitude.
There's some divas over here that pulled it off really well.
Really well, but it was, of course, the original was like always, that was the standard. But did you get any injuries or anything like that there? That was.
Well, my only major injury I got was like I sprained my ankle. I think the first injury I didn't get any injuries on Broadway. My first injury was in London, but it wasn't in the show.
Mm.
My first injury was, in London they have the, at that time, the, let me see if I can get this right. There were a lot of bomb threats and things at that time over in London. The Protestants, okay, so I'm going to show my ignorance right here. Anyway, and we would have these bomb threats where they would say a certain code word and the whole audience and everybody had to clear the building. Wow. Like you couldn't go back to your dressing room. You left the stage and you went outside. You couldn't, you know. And after a half hour, if we were out there more than a half hour, we could cancel the show. And we would be out there entertaining the audience, signing autographs. So it was kind of a fun thing. And even though, unfortunately, the circumstances weren't, the best for us to be out there. But anyway, so then we got back upstairs. It was half hour. It was like, oh, we don't have to finish the show. Well, of course, when you, still get paid for it, we were like celebrating. And so I got upstairs, took my skates off, and I went, yahoo! And I fell down the stairs.
Oh, ouch. Too funny. That's too funny.
So that was my first injury at Starlight. But the only time I got hurt, I'm trying to think, in the show was Vegas. And I fell down and had a bruised patella, but I had also broken my thumb in skate warm-up, but it was just a chipped thumb.
Right.
And I had a kind of a pulled rotor cuff a little bit.
Yes.
So I kind of had a few injuries there, but they weren't like, where I shouldn't be out of the show. But then the bruised patella took me out of the show for about 6 weeks, I think it was.
Right. Gotcha. Wow.
And that was about it. But I mean, I eat, sleep, and drink roller skating. On Broadway, I would have my dresser in the wings on Thursdays and Sunday nights. So when I rolled off the wings, off the set right there, going up the stairs at the Gershwin, she'll be taking off my costume. Because I said, I've got to get out to the rink. It closes at 1:30. The show comes down at 10:30 or something like that.
Funny.
So I said, I got to get to the rink, get me out of my costume. And I had a little car, and I get in my car and drive out there to Long Island Laces roller rink. Oh, that was the best rink. I miss Laces. Yeah.
So you're a hardcore roller skater.
Yeah. And then, in the summertime, I skated everywhere. I didn't use the subway system that often. I was always on my skates, skating up, And then in between shows, going to Central Park, skating in full makeup.
Right.
Myself, Kennard, Marianne Lamb, Joey McNeely, who else? Kennard doing penchés down the Profile Bridge. Those Starlight people know the Profile Bridge, but we were kind of hardcore. You know.
Now, what was your first show, the opening night? What was that like? What was the experience for you on opening night, the first show, and first time doing? Because this was your first Broadway show, right? And you're starring in it. And what was that like?
It was really scary. I'm gonna be honest. It was like really scary. You're not really, at least I wasn't. And even to this day, sometimes when I'm doing shows, I don't really like people to come and see me until I'm 3 to 6 months into the show. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's quite an outer body experience. But then and that's why a lot of it seems a bit blurry, because I just remember watching myself, kind of going around doing everything properly. Because remember on opening night, you've been shopping for your dress and and the closing night party and the gifts and so
yeah.
And it's kind of like, whew, okay, and as the show is down, Starlight, go. Okay, I think I made it through. Okay, here I am. I'm human again. So it was scary. It was quite scary. Yeah.
Wow. Now,
like I said,
I know you have a lot of memories, and this is the biggest challenge from a lot of the alumni. When I ask this question, first thing that comes to mind, just if at all possible, just let that happen. Okay, here's the question: what's your greatest memory from Starlight Express?
My greatest
The
memory?
greatest memory. The first thing that comes to mind when I ask that question, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Well, In-N-Out Burger drive-through. It was when we were in Vegas, and Starlight was in Vegas, and I heard the "Make Up My Heart" from the London album, because I'm not on the American album, and I'm in my car getting my meal, and I hear it, and I'm like, and the people behind me were playing it in their car. That's one memory that just pops in my head every time, whenever I think of, sometimes you get into your little bubble of your life and your career.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, I just kind of roll along and enjoy and be thankful that I'm doing what I'm doing, And then you remember it affects other people.
Yeah.
And and how easily, it can, be accessible to other people. And even now, it's even more prevalent with because back in those days, everybody didn't have a cell phone. Everybody didn't have computers and things, So that pops in my head. I mean, my mother's passing pops in my head. So there's a few things when you say Starlight, because I did it for a long time.
Right.
And every production except for 2 out of the 7 or 8 that they put together. I was reminded of that this last time here now that I'm in Germany.
Wow.
With the Lord. And was reminded of there's a lot of history, And these people are very, I'm very grateful and give gratitude to be in their presence and being able to learn. And so it's hard, like you say, that is a very difficult question for.
Yeah, it is. I appreciate.
For one memory come up when you've made this, when it's been part of your life for so long.
Yeah. Now, out of curiosity, how many Starlight, how many productions have you done?
Okay, so we did Broadway. That was a year and a half or 2. National tour, I think, was 2 years.
Right. Yeah, it's about 18 months, right? Yeah.
London I was supposed to do a year, but I had to go there early because the Pearl was in a family way. So I went over early and was doing 2 different productions. I was doing the new production in the daytime, learning the new production in the daytime, and performing the old one at night.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after London was Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
And I'll never forget, I was getting some cosmetic work done. And I'm not ashamed, And I dreamt that a friend of mine said to me, Starlight wants you to come to Las Vegas. And I woke up to my friend. I said, I had the funniest dream that Las Vegas called for me to come and do Starlight again. They go, that wasn't a dream. I just asked you that a couple hours ago. So I said, Vegas, Starlight again. I mean, career-wise, you start to go, shouldn't I be doing other things? And
yes.
I said, well, why not? They're calling for me. Why not? So I got to Vegas and fell in love with Vegas. And now I've been living there for 20-something years. And then I did Starlight there for 2.5 years or something like that.
Right.
Then over the next 10, 15 years, I went back and did a bunch of the Broadway shows, some more national tours, and then back to Vegas and got into a show called Vegas the Show. Did that for 7 years, and all of a sudden somebody says on Facebook and sends me the audition, Starlight Express is being redone, and they're doing this new character, Mama, and Beverly Braven. I'm just going to call you out, girl. I love her. Reva, this sounds like something you should be doing.
Funny.
And I'm thinking, I just went off tangent, I know you asked me how many productions I had done.
Oh, no, that's perfect. I love it. I love it. Well, it's a journey, and hey, we've got a lot of history, and so it's awesome. What's great is that we have, and you're there because right now you're in Germany, and
Yeah.
you're doing, is it Mama now?
Mama McCoy.
I love it. I love it. And I know
Sorry.
I saw on because of technology, I saw that on Facebook, and I was like, yes. Renee and I were like saying, yes, better go, Reva, Diva Reva. But that's awesome. And so we are seeing Starlighters now performing, and they were not even born. I mean, not even thought of. Their parents were kids that saw us on stage, and it's mind blowing. And so we are, especially those of you are like one of the legends in there. And I don't have a problem with that being, because a lot of my young students, they see me, because to me, I'm their grandfather. I'm 60 years, going to be 60 years old. They see me as their grandfather, and I'm so okay with that. But it's legendary. And so, which is what prompted me to do this podcast. You know, I had my mind about, like, what's my legacy? How are people going to remember me? And so it was just, that's what brought this podcast up, because we have people coming after us that they're standing on the shoulders, like we standing on the shoulders of those that came before us. So now it's all about us. And this is what I'm hearing from many of the alumni. They want to give back. They want to give back. So now the legacy, what's the legacy? And so that's why I love it that, I have goosebumps now, because you're on here. I got together with Steven Skills. I have other people that I'm getting together with that were, from back in the day. And we were the guinea pigs. And I'm referring to like Starlight, because a lot of what their Starlighters are doing today were paved by the blood, sweat, and brokenness of those that came before them. And so, and it's almost like a metaphor of life. So that's why I'm finding that this podcast is becoming so valuable, because we're talking about, yes, a show, a spectacle of a show, that there is heart. And Steven Skills, we really got into the deep heart of what he got out of Starlight as before. And but it's life. We're talking about life. And now, for you, what are some of the lessons that you drew out from your experience? I know you shared some along the way, but what are some that come to mind now that you'd love to share and pass on?
Well, like I said earlier, it's kind of like, I'm so glad I had such driven people around me. Yeah. That just kind of, they didn't care if they hurt your feelings. They just want you to be fabulous. Yeah. It wasn't a thing of, and I'll just leave that there. I'm glad that I was pushed, because I was pushed, I appreciate that pushing, because it just made me roll smoother and faster, I'll say. And like I tell young people, if it's positive and something you really have a passion for, and they've probably heard this from other people, go forward, especially today when you have access at a quicker turnaround than those who, our generation. Follow your true gut. Follow your true gut. There were so many people that have said to me, you did Starlight for too long, and why are you doing, and it's kind of like, but I only live my time. I can't live for other people's time and how they're interpreting their existence. But I know my existence is this long, like this long. And for people to give me money, existence, to sing, dance, and roller skate, something that I was taking up for a hobby and for therapy, and is a blessing. Since I've been over here, and then you'll understand what I'm saying about what I brought out of this. When I came over to Germany, I always wanted to skate the set, and I came over here years ago when Rochelle Rack was Pearl. I came over to see my girl Rochelle, and Rochelle, Rochelle, I have to say it like that, Rochelle. I want to skate the set, but they won't let, you can't, insurance purposes and things like that. So me coming over here and being able to skate the set at this age, and I'm knocking on 62, not 60 number 2, but 60 also.
Yes, 60 as well. Okay.
Yeah. I really, and I was in a great show that I, really was enjoying, but I just felt like, and I'd be able to work with Andrew and all them again and come back full circle. It was also something to say to me that regardless of what people tell you, your age, your whatever, you define how you want to spend your quickness on this planet,
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I've drawn out of this Starlight thing, because even at this age and coming back around and doing it again, and I'm seeing Arlene Phillips. And if you see Arlene Phillips, Arlene looks fabulous.
I know.
Like,
I know.
It doesn't age, And I think a lot of her, I look at her and I say, Arlene says what she wants, does what she wants. At least this is the outside. I don't know Arlene, that personal, you know what I mean? But she always seems to be very, this is what it is. This is how I feel. I don't mean anything by it. You know what I mean? No negativeness necessarily, but this is how I feel about it. And then she lets it go. It's how it looks. And I think that, and in a show like this, when people that haven't seen or been up here to see this set over here, it's a whole nother world. It's, this is a little city,
yes.
This Bochum thing. I'm so impressed by it as well. But there's a lot of people employed here. There's a lot of lives, and like you say, children that want to be in the show and that kind of thing. To say that is that no investment, regardless of how long it is, if it's positive, I feel like you are going to get a positive result out of it. That's just, I don't know. Because I'm not really religious, but that's just those energies. That's karma. That's however you want to, whatever label you want to put on it.
Right.
So that's another thing, that I draw out of this is that, you kind of do what you need to do to make you have peace in life, because life is very, very short, very short. And it might be something as simple as roller skating.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Reva, you are definitely inspiration for so many, and thank you so much for really taking the time, being a part of this project. And it's going to, and I've always believed this in the work that I do and why I do what I do. And I've been teaching. I've been teaching for 20 years now, and with my own business and giving back. And that's my way of saying thank you to the world for taking care of me. And like you said, we have so little time, and so I wasn't too sure who would be open to this initially, but. We passing on lessons, and right now this will live on. Once it goes up, it goes on beyond us. And so the opportunity to really, because I'm saying to myself, one day my daughter and my son, I'm not going to be here because I plan on living to 100 and I count my days. And so like every day I have my journal here, and every day in the top corner,
yes.
Today is 15,234 days until my 100th birthday. And I take that serious because I want to let myself know that time is very short. And I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I go to sleep at 10 o'clock. That's 1,080 minutes in a day. And so I take time very seriously. And so you take the time to spend with me. I do not take that lightly. And so thank you so much for that. And my hope and my prayer to everyone in the world that do not take life for granted. If we can pass on this message and pound it into the young people, because you think you can live forever, and when you're young, but we're here to remind people that no, you're not going to live forever. No matter where you are, what age you are, you can still live in your passion, in your dream. Now, I know you're in Starlight in Germany, living the life. So what other plans do you have? Anything you're doing that you would like to share with everyone else? Because anything that's coming up, anything that you'd like to share, I'd love for others to hear.
Yeah, well, first, before I forget, I wanted to say how proud I am of you and Renee. That's another legacy that Starlight has. Many couples and beautiful children have come out of the Starlight family. And you all have done a wonderful job. I don't know you personally other than Facebook, kind of like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's amazing and should be recognized, you know, that many beautiful unions were made, you know. So yeah, to you and Renee and the other couples that came out of Starlight and fabulous
funny
kids.
Because we got married the same year we opened with Starlight Express in Germany. And so every anniversary of Starlight in Germany is our anniversary. They actually, on the 10-year anniversary, I was doing the show. Renee was there and Joseph in Essen. And they did a big thing about our anniversary and Starlight's anniversary because it was 10. So every anniversary, it's our anniversary.
Wow. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, all this history. See, I love it. I'm honored to be a part of it, you know, really honored to be a part of it. So
that's incredible.
So yeah, I wanted to you know, take the time to say that. And if I'm squinting, it's because I don't see well and I need to get glasses. So
yeah, well, that's why I'd be like this.
See, so forgive me, everyone, because yeah, I don't have my glasses, and sometimes I look like I'm cross-eyed. But whatever.
Hey, I love it. So what?
But
so I know you're in Germany, and so if anyone's in Germany, please go see Reva there. And I know, pardon me.
I said, yes.
Yes. And of course, everyone knows I'll have a link because this will be on the blog, and anything they want to find out about you, I'll give links below. And Facebook, do you have a bit of a Facebook business page? Where would people go if they want to find out more about you?
Well, remember when I said I can barely get an email out? So, you know, if you just go to Facebook, Reva Rice, or just, you know, Google Reva Rice, you know, Reva Rice, that's all I can say.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. Google me. I'm easy to find.
Say it again. I missed it.
Yeah, I tell people I'm easy to find. Just Google me, and that's it. So everyone, but I'll make sure everyone's there right below. And thank you so much. Respect to you there, Reva, and taking the time out to share. I learned so much and have a great appreciation for you as a person, as talent. And I can't wait to see where you're going to go next and what you have in store. And I can't wait. So stay in touch, stay connected.
I will.
And I'll keep everyone up to date with the life of Reva Rice.
Yeah, I'm trying to do this. You were asking what I have on the burner, kind of.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's a big dream of mine, but you know, I love roller skating, and they're closing down a lot of the roller rinks around the country. You know, they just aren't marketed right.
Right. Yeah.
So I want to open up this beautiful facility in Las Vegas where you can come and hear Evelyn Champagne King or Crystal Gale or Sade and roller skate, or sit at the bar and have a nice cocktail while you listen to the live people. I mean, I don't mean to say the live people, but you know what I'm saying. But old school crooners for the mature adults, my age, places where you would go and where you can have a nice time. And if you still want to get a roll on, because there's so many of us that still roller skate around the country whenever we can find a place. I went to, I'm going to say this and then I'll let you go when, you know, because I know we're running over time probably. But they have these major skate parties in Atlanta and Chicago. But the biggest one I went to finally, I think 50,000 people came into Atlanta to go roller skating.
Wow.
Yeah. So all those people go to Vegas. Now imagine a fierce place in Vegas that you come and roller skate and, you know, at the same time in the daytime, hang out by the pools of the great hotels and things like that. But then there's a nice, mature environment for you to go and have a nice skate, you know? So.
Yeah, I could see that. Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to have a talk with the Lord.
You know. So, hey,
I'm joking, but I'm serious. I'm going to try to have a talk with the Lord.
Partner up with someone at a hotel, something like that. I mean, logistically, that's feasible.
Yeah. And he said to me, Andrew Lord Weber is who I'm talking about when I say the Lord. Still, all the viewers. Did you know that?
It's funny. It sounded like it was that in that context. It did seem like that. So you did. Thanks for the clarification and specific.
Well, I'm very funny. I'm very funny. But the Lord said to me, "Yes, the team is back." I said, "Yes, we are, Andrew Lord." Andy.
Yes. Maybe the Lord will hook it up with the skating rink.
Well, let's see. Let's see. Anything's possible, and that's another thing with as I get older, anything is possible.
Yeah.
Anything is possible, and there's always more than one solution to every problem.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. And I know, right? I considered putting my contacts in, but my contacts really dry out my eyes. I said, "Oh, the hell with that. I'm just gonna wear my glasses."
See, I'm the same way. I got to get some though. Something that's cute.
But yours is going to go out a week from this Sunday. And so I'll have some teasers for people. So you said some incredible things. So I'll throw some teasers out there. So people, it's going to be exciting. And I'll make sure that people know what's going on with you. And I want you guys really I want everyone around, especially other Starlight alumni.
Yeah.
So interested in how we're all doing. And I'm so many of them. You're like my 10th interview already. And so it's just.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry to interrupt. You know what I would love to do, Peter? If you can get myself, Dawn Marie Church, Rochelle, and Nicole Picard, boy, do we have stories for you. Not that the other, but I mean, just
a note of that.
Just craziness.
And that's funny. And Nicole, we stay connected with Nicole and Rack, and
I got to hook up with Nicole because I haven't even connected with her in years.
Really? Yeah, she's a news anchor, weather news anchor. Yes, and she's actually been to Philadelphia, so we've connected with her here. So she's a news anchor.
Where in Philadelphia? You said?
Well, she's actually around the United States, so she'll go to different TV stations and anchor there. So she came here and she anchored here in Philadelphia on I think NBC, and so but yeah, she's doing really great as a news anchor.
I gotta try to look her up. Yeah.
I'll send you a link to her Facebook page, and she's on Instagram, and she's tweets. She's very active, so she's just enjoying life, having a lot of fun. So I think you guys get a real kick out of it.
Yeah, I would love to have a reunion with those girls. Man, we had some times on that tour, boy.
I bet. I bet. Well, thank you so much. You have a blessed day.
Thank you. Sending love to the family.
I sure will. Bye.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone, for joining me on this episode of Starlight Express Alumni Podcast. Next week, I will get together with another alumni. Be sure to subscribe. You can subscribe right here on the website at starlightexpress.club. We are definitely on the iTunes and Stitcher, and we're looking to get on the other platforms, so make sure you check there, subscribe there, and stay connected. If you are a Starlight alumni, please be sure to reach out to me if you would like to be on the podcast. Would love to hear your stories and share your story with the Starlight Express fans and other alumni. Look forward to sharing with you next week. Everyone, have a great day.